guys, turbocharged 51 over here. I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. And guys, welcome to the 2021 Portuguese Grand Prix race review from my beautiful friendship team of the Motorsport Lounge. Guys, just quickly, the beginning of this recording was very laggy, so that's why I'm doing the intro by myself. But it's once again me and Super Boosted running through everything about the Portuguese Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, enjoy the podcast. We talk a lot, but you know what? That's what a podcast is for. I love you guys. Remember to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you guys in the podcast. Enjoy. Point Boosted, you can start us off.
With the only did not finish off the race. Raikkonen, he didn't look where he was going, and he crashed into his teammates and lost his wing.
I think he was craving out, I don't want to race anymore, let's just go straight to the hot tub. Guys, I literally put WTF Raikkonen because Kimi has done so good in the first two rounds. When you look at Bahrain and Imola, it was
a rookie mistake for.
I thought it was 104, but it's okay. Kimi has been here so long. I feel like he's just gonna super glue onto the F1 name. Pretty soon it's gonna be Raikkonen Formula 1 or something like that. He's just never gonna leave. But yeah, guys, disappointing weekend from Kimi. So it's just Raikkonen really just didn't perform like we wanted him to, especially after his exceptional performances in Bahrain and Imola. So yeah, drivers, but that is okay. The next talking point is about George Russell. Now guys, Russell had an absolutely, probably in my opinion, his best qualifying performance ever in Formula 1. On Q3 with us had no race pace. So his weekend started exceptional. He even ran good in practice from the practice stuff I watched. Guys, by the way, I wasn't present this weekend, I wasn't home. So I checked out everything on YouTube, like the practice highlights, quality highlights, and then I waited to get back on Sunday evening to watch the race. I was too tired. I watched the race on Monday morning. So, but Russell really went well in practice and qualifying, and then on Sunday, Williams just didn't show up. So, Russell, that kid's quick, man. He is so quick. I just wish he would get a quicker car.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, it's easy to take mild jumps to Mercedes and everything, but I think, yeah, they need to either let Bottas or Hamilton go.
But after this weekend, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. Yeah, we'll get to Mercedes in a bit.
After this weekend, I don't think they want to lose either one. But yeah, I think Russell needs that.
I think Russell just needs a spot at Aston Martin. And I know you've got Vettel and Stroll there. I think Vettel's got a 2-year contract, and I think Stroll also got a 3-year contract extension, if I'm not mistaken. But also, we said in the previous podcast, for Russell to stay in Williams is going to be a lot of driver development.
We are seeing now he's out driving the car, and I think he needs to stay at the chances of him get.
I don't know, that's a fact. I just don't. If I was in Russell's shoes, the question is, are you willing to wait so long? Because nobody knows how long. But if Bottas keeps getting better like he does every year, he just doesn't get better. Well, he doesn't better himself enough to catch Hamilton. But every year Bottas is quicker. I mean, I literally watched the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix yesterday. Qualifying, Bottas was half a second slower than Hamilton, and in the race, yeah, he had a bad start, but Hamilton, and in that stage when Ferrari were battling Mercedes, Bottas was nowhere as quick as Hamilton, Vettel or Raikkonen in that race. If you look at where Bottas is now, he beat Hamilton in qualifying. There's a lot of instances where we can take examples where he beats Hamilton good in qualifying. He just hasn't sorted out his race pace yet. If Hamilton doesn't have a bad weekend, he always loses against Hamilton when it comes to Sunday.
Yeah, I think Bottas should stop focusing on beating in qualifying first. And Verstappen has proven, a lot of people have proven that you don't need to do good in qualifying, you just need to drive the wheels of the car on Sunday.
True.
And he has a car that can get him easily the top 5 spot if he drives good enough in qualifying, and just needs to focus on the race pace.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think Bottas is focusing too much on trying to beat Hamilton than bettering his own race pace. I think with all the... How did we start talking about Russell and we're already on Bottas? We'll get to that in a second. But I think Bottas he's got this mindset. Damn, my English, you can see I'm tired. His mindset is too much focused on beating Hamilton than bettering his own race pace. And I know that's a big thing to say. I know people watching this are going to be like, you're making a very bold statement there. No disrespect towards Valtteri Bottas at all. But I feel if he shifts his mind more towards being better in the race than trying to beat Hamilton consistently the whole time, he's going to turn out better than he's currently turning out.
And I think if Mercedes actually gives a damn what he's trying to do,
Also very true.
was this weekend, or this first
In qualifying.
in qualifying, and Mercedes didn't celebrate nothing. They just stood there. His own mechanics just stood there. It's like, okay, qualifying's done now. Let's get the car, check everything. But with Hamilton, get pole position. Everyone from the pole.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've always said. That's the reason I don't really support Mercedes in this modern hybrid era. I mean, even when you look back to the Hamilton-Rosberg days, if Hamilton does good, Mercedes, like you say, throw a party. When the second driver does well, they just, okay, good, let's get the car ready for Sunday, or let's just move on to the next race weekend. And that is something that within Mercedes really needs to change. I mean, if you look at other teams like, say, even the most strict team on the grid, if you look at Ferrari, if Sainz does better than Leclerc, they're going to celebrate with him. It's not this I want to say this obscurity towards the first driver. And that is something that really makes me just sad. I feel Bottas deserves a team that appreciates him more than Mercedes. And yes, they pay him a crap ton of money, but they don't support him. And that, I think that mental thing of not having the team behind you is Bottas' biggest problem. Because he beats Hamilton, and there has been instances, even from 2017 when he's driven for Mercedes, where he dominated Hamilton and the team just didn't give a crap. And that is to me, that's bad sportsmanship within a team.
Yeah, I think if he would move to another team that will give him the credit where his credit is due, you will be way faster than he is now.
Now, Formula 1 is a massive mental game, and at this stage, the Bottas, in my opinion, and it's not his fault, but at this stage, Bottas is losing the mental game because he's got no support from his team.
Yeah, I think we need to stop talking about Bottas, because otherwise this will be a half an hour
Just about Bottas.
Podcast about Bottas. So,
okay, so guys, basically, we're disappointed in Russell's race pace, but that's not his fault. The Williams just had no race pace. But sorry about that. We want Russell to get into a better car, and we started talking about Bottas. Oh, subject. Okay, in any case. But once again, to give credit where credit is due, well done to Russell in qualifying. P11 in that donkey of a car.
yeah, he overqualified with the Williams. He drove the hell out of that car, and I think if the car had the race pace it had last weekend,
True.
he would have maybe got the points.
Yeah, I think he would have gotten points. I mean, we're all waiting for that glorious day when Russell finally finishes in the top 10. So, and I honestly thought...
We're waiting for that glorious day when Williams get points.
True. And I mean, after his qualifying performance on Saturday, I really thought he would. But, on to the next one, on to Spain. Now, guys, the next thing I want to talk about is two drivers in different teams. I want to talk about, well, we want to talk about Yuki Tsunoda and Carlos Sainz. Yuki Tsunoda, first of all, terrible qualifying, and come race day, he was just nowhere. Gasly, on the other hand, was battling with Ferrari, McLaren, all these top teams, and yes, Gasly only finished in P10, but Tsunoda finished behind the two Aston Martins, and Aston didn't have good race pace. Tsunoda finished P15, and qualifying was what? He qualified P what? I can't remember.
What are you talking about now?
Tsunoda
qualified P14.
Okay, so he qualified P14, ended P15, so he went backwards in the race in a car which we know is quicker than P15. And then jumping towards Carlos Sainz, absolutely phenomenal qualifying and a phenomenal race start, but as soon as Ferrari took him off the soft tires and put him onto the hards, he was nowhere. He fell back like crap into a long drop. I mean,
He fell from 5th place to
11th. He finished 11th.
11th place, and the first stint he drove so good, and afterwards he just fell. But I feel it was the same scenario with Red Bull. They focused on the soft tire, and they didn't get the medium and hard tires to the needed temperature, or the car wasn't happy with the harder tire. So,
Yeah, that's the thing, that when Mercedes outperformed everybody else this weekend, they made sure that they focused on their race tires, which is the hards and the mediums. I mean, in any case, we know Mercedes by now. They always get into Q3 by qualifying on mediums in Q2. So Mercedes did the right thing, and I feel Red Bull, trying to fight Mercedes, needs to do the same thing. They focused, in my opinion, way too much on the softer compound of tires.
yeah, because it was the same scenario with the last weekend, well, the last race as well. So, the signs, yeah, it was just the car wasn't ready. Tsunoda, I think he's possibly in a mental battle with himself, trying to figure out from the previous weekend he overtook so many people, but this race he was so dry, so it could have been probably just something as well.
It can be anything, but I was heavily disappointed in Yuki Tsunoda's performance, especially after his performance in Bahrain. The opening round of the season, I thought Gasly really had a problem with Tsunoda, and 3 rounds into the championship, I'm like, yeah, I might have overestimated Yuki, but I don't want to predict anything over Yuki Tsunoda. I still know the kid is fast. I still know he's got a lot of talent, but yeah, he needs to pull his finger out of his hiney. And then Carlos Sainz, I understand it wasn't completely Sainz's fault. I mean, even when the car was slow on the harder compound of tires, Sainz defended brilliantly.
He did the best he could, and the car wasn't there.
Alright guys, continuing on from the Tsunoda and Sainz talk, just a disappointing race end for Sainz, and Tsunoda was just nowhere throughout the weekend. Moving on to the next topic of conversation, an amazing race from Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, it was sort of for me the highlight of the race. I know the top 3 was like, yeah, that's you expect that battle, but I didn't expect Mick Schumacher overtaking Latifi. It's the battle for the women's boot. So exciting.
Yeah, it was so exciting, and I mean, even hats off to Latifi as well. He defended absolutely brilliantly. That battle between Schumacher and Latifi was exceptional, and I mean, you could see Schumacher was driving the living crap out of that car.
Yeah, he drove so hard for that one spot, but I think that sport was a needed sport for his own motivational boost, because he just proves himself. Yeah, he's driving a slow car, and he's a good driver.
No, he is definitely. I mean, there's a reason Mick is the 2020 F2 World Champion. His consistency is what always gets him what he wants. But this weekend, I know if you're a Michael Schumacher fan, you're gonna love this statement. But I saw a bit of his dad within him this weekend. The way he attacks is almost exactly like Michael. And I mean, I also watched a few days ago, I watched the 2012 European Grand Prix, that race where Alonso came from 11th on the grid to win in Valencia. and one of your favorite tracks, Valencia.
Yeah.
And in that race, it ends where Alonso wins with who was second again? I can't remember who was second, but I know Schumacher is third. And just to see Michael on the podium and seeing Michael before his accident, it was kind of a heartwarming moment. And that was just, when I saw Mick this weekend drive, I just saw so much of his dad within him. He is a proper Schumacher, and I can't wait for that kid to his career to properly start when he gets a midfield or a top tier car, because he's quick. He's really quick.
Yeah, he is really quick. So I think Haas will pull up their socks a bit here. Nice. Yep. And then you will see what Schumacher is made of. I think at the race end, there was a lot of jokes about it, so I'm leaving the joke. He was a minute ahead of everything.
Yo. Yeah, Mazepin.
So I think, yeah, it was just Schumacher drove the wheels off it, and he deserved that one extra place ahead of
Latifi. Yeah, even if it was for P18 and P19, literally the final two positions, the wooden spoon. But that was honestly one of the most exciting battles on the grid. And well done to Shumi and Latifi. Now guys, the next person we're going to talk about...
It's not P18, P19, it's 17, 18.
Ah, they ended ahead of Mazepin. Sorry, P17 and 18, excuse me. In any case. So... Guys, on to the next driver, and this is something that so little people agree with me on. And the sad thing about this for me is, it was a fantastic race from this driver, and once again it's gonna go under the radar because his teammate is Kimi Räikkönen. Antonio Giovinazzi had an absolutely phenomenal Grand Prix. And yes, I know he didn't get points. And yes, once again, I know compared to Kimi the previous two race weekends, he didn't do as good as he should have. He out-qualified Kimi by 3 positions, and also, even though Kimi ran into him, Giovinazzi had a stellar Grand Prix. And what's sad to me is this is going to go under the radar. People are going to forget about this so quickly because of all the other factors that are present. But Giovinazzi, to me, was one of the drivers of the day. He drove spectacularly. His battle with Vettel on the social medias, he and Vettel had a proper scrap, and he outdrove a 4-time world champion in a slower car.
Yeah, with Vettel still getting used to it, and I must say, giving props to Aston Martin, they also improved this weekend.
Yeah, they definitely improved.
With Vettel a Q3 starting 10th place, Giovinazzi started 12th position and finished 12th position. So you hardly see actual drivers finish higher or in the same position they started, and he did.
And oh, sorry, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. But like I said, Giovinazzi shouldn't have finished in 12th. If you look at all the drivers who were behind him, one being Ricciardo in a McLaren, and all the stuff that was going on around him, and he still just missed points. That to me is a phenomenal performance. And like I said, that battle with Vettel was just fantastic. And a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I feel Giovinazzi deserves to be in Formula 1, and I also feel he is one of the most underrated drivers on the grid, if not the most underrated driver on the grid.
Yeah, I think he learned a lot from Räikkönen, even though Räikkönen drove into this again.
What a mistake, Kimi.
He's one of those drivers, I think he's like that. He didn't that good, very underdog, and no one is seeing his talent.
No, true that. And I mean, what's the boss of Alfa Romeo? Frank Vasseur? No, is it Frank Vasseur? I'm not sure. In any case, the boss at Alfa Romeo, even he said himself, the reason Giovinazzi is still in Formula 1 is because they know what he's capable of. And that is one thing that I'm so thankful for Alfa Romeo, because Giovinazzi, in my opinion, deserves to be in Formula 1. Yes, he's not yet as he's not yet as quick as he's supposed to be, but every year that kid gets quicker. And he's still very young. And by the way, best hairstyle on the grid. But just give Giovinazzi some time. Giovinazzi is still going to do big things in Formula 1 if they indeed keep him in the sport. Moving on to the next thing to talk about, guys. Daniel Ricciardo, who actually qualifying. I don't know what happened to Daniel Rick, but a very, very underwhelming and disappointing quali performance. But he made points. He finished in P9 ahead of Pierre Gasly, and I think he was behind. He was behind Alonso. Alonso was 8th, Ricciardo was 9th, and Gasly was 10th. And to me, I feel Ricciardo could have done better, but so I said for myself, decent performance from Ricciardo, but I know Boosted feels that it was a very, very, very good performance from Daniel Ricciardo.
I think he's getting, every weekend he's getting better. His performance is being shadowed by Norris driving the wheels of the car, and not that I'm saying Norris is stealing the show, but I just think it fits. I'm not saying Norris is doing like Verstappen, but it's not going to go in that direction, because we know Ricciardo is going to get faster. But
yeah, he's going to match Norris eventually.
For now, Norris is schooling Ricciardo.
Yeah, he is. And guys, I mean, I'm actually going to skip a point. We'll move back to that because 2 points on this. We just said another clinical performance from Norris. That kid has got so much pace within him. It's literally breaking my brain. He hasn't been outside the top 5 yet this year. Yeah, he got a podium in Imola. He was P4 in Bahrain, and now he's got P5. He hasn't been outside the top 10. He's ahead of Perez in the Drivers' Championship. And Bottas, he's 3rd in the Drivers' Championship.
Yes, and if you think about in the start race, he was at some point he was P4.
Yeah, he was P4 at some stage.
And I watched a quadrant video, and what one of the guys said, I think where Norris is gonna finish in the top 5, because the Red Bulls and the Mercedes, if they don't mess up, he will get P5.
True that. And I mean, when we get to the predictions, guys, yeah, I've put in a very bold prediction that will dethrone Lando from P5, but we'll first see if that happens. But the long and the short is, Norris is on a roll, and it just seems like his momentum isn't breaking. And like I said at the beginning of the year, it's no longer scenario 7 Lando, it's scenario 8 Lando. He has showed up for 2021, and Zach Brown, the CEO at McLaren, has made it clear that, like just Ferrari did with Leclerc and Mercedes have done with Hamilton, he is McLaren's golden boy. And even though Ricciardo is in that team, I see so many memes on social media where Zach Brown is like a father to Lando Norris. It's very stupid memes, but Zach sees Lando's talent, and we all know McLaren want to get back to the front of the field. They want to be racing Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull. They want to be there. The thing is, they need a driver to get them there, and at this stage Lando is doing that and more. And as soon as Ricciardo starts matching Lando, and even in some weekends beating Lando, you're going to have a very lethal McLaren Formula 1 team.
Yeah, I think with Lando Norris and Ricciardo, especially Norris, he's gonna make that reality for the background really quicker than he thinks. And they did this real smart move, changing engines, going to the Mercedes engine. So they know that they have a good engine, they just need to build up. And they are building up to the top battles very quickly.
In any case, guys, McLaren are on the way up, and once again, good performance from Ricciardo, exceptional performance from Lando. Now heading into the point that we skipped, guys, the team of the weekend, and you guys are gonna hate us for this, but even Boosted agrees with me on this. Alpine were the team of the weekend.
Yes, previous races, it was just Ocon in that point. Ocon made actually finished in Bahrain.
Alonso's car, he had something was stuck in his air duct, so the engine wasn't cooling, so he retired. And Imola, Alonso, after Raikkonen had his penalty, Alonso got 10th, so Alonso had 1 point.
So,
But Ocon was ahead of Alonso on both occasions.
but I think, yeah, Alonso showed up this weekend.
Oh, that last stint was beautiful.
He showed, for me, he showed what I think where he thought this year he's gonna the pace he's gonna start with, and I think Ocon is now seeing the pace the pace of his teammates. But
I mean, if Alonso qualified like Ocon into Q3, I think Alonso would have beaten Ocon in the race. But also, in the same breath, I want to say, guys, I was extremely harsh on Ocon at the beginning of the season with the preseason prediction video, as well as after the first round in Bahrain. I was extremely tough on Ocon, and I'm not going to lie, I don't like Ocon very much, but that kid drove absolutely phenomenal this weekend. Qualifying in, what was it, P5 or P6? I think it was P6. He qualified in P6, yeah. And he finished the race in P7. In a midfield we all already know is so competitive. And I mean, the only person that got ahead of Ocon was Leclerc, because Norris got P5, Leclerc P6, Ocon P7, and Alonso came through to finish in P8. That final stint of Alonso, I want to watch that onboard. I'll literally watch 25 laps of onboard. I am that kind of F1 geek. But guys, the Alonso, no wait, let's finish with Ocon. The Ocon we saw this weekend is the Ocon we had back in 2017 and 2018 when he was the teammate of Sergio Perez. Ocon being out a year in 2019 and coming back in 2020, I think was a very big mental struggle for Ocon. But I think he's finally figuring out what he needs to do. And now jumping towards Alonso, that final stint, I saw when I thought Alonso was at his peak was from 2007, after he won his 2 world titles, from 2007 all the way up to about 2014 when he was at Ferrari. Guys, I saw that Alonso so in depth this weekend. I mean, like I said, I watched the 2012 European Grand Prix in Valencia where Alonso won. And guys, when Alonso took the lead after Vettel's car broke down, he was one of the drivers on the oldest set of tires. And back in 2012, 1-stops were nearly impossible to do. And on a track like Valencia where wear was through the roof, you struggled to make a 2-stop work. Alonso made a 2-stop work, starting on the 2 softest tires. Starting the race on the softs, well, that the years they called it option tires, the options and the primes. But starting on the softs, going on to a second set of softs, and then ending the race on the hards. At the end of the race, Hamilton, Webber, Schumacher, a bunch of the other drivers were chasing him down because his tires were the oldest. He was driving the crap out of the car, and the only thing the commentators kept saying is Alonso's tires are going to go off the cliff. They're literally waiting for his tires to go off the cliff. And while driving the living crap out of that car, he maintained his tires and extended the gap from Hamilton and eventually Michael Schumacher and Mark Webber coming from behind. And the Ferrari was not nearly the quickest car in 2012. That is the Alonso I saw this weekend, and I hope this is only the start of Alonso's exceptional performances, because after the race is done, literally I said Nando's back. Nando is back, and I hope it stays like that.
Norris needs to keep his pace. Alonso needs to keep the pace he had on the last stint. I think if he can qualify where his teammate is qualifying and just have that type of race, he is going to do way better than the previous 2 races.
Oh no, most definitely. And like I said, hi guys, it's me again. Sorry to bother you guys once again. Guys, once again, the video recording was very laggy. The last topic me and Booster are heading into now is obviously the elephant in the room. It is the top 3 battle between Hamilton, Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. Enjoy the podcast further, and make sure if you haven't done it yet to drop a like down below on the video. Go check out the links in the description down below. And if you are not yet subscribed and you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Hit the subscribe down below, and don't forget to ding that bell. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. Thank you very much. And guys, one thing I quickly want to mention before I let Booster talk. Everybody complained, even on social media. I'm starting to hate Formula 1 social media. Everybody complained that this was a boring race. Bahrain and Imola were over the top action packed, and I get that, and they set the bar really high heading to Portugal. But if you look at the strategies that were worked out this weekend, and especially that top 3 battle, I think it was nearly 30 laps where Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen didn't let go of each other. They literally sniffed each other's gearbox oils for almost 30 laps. This, in my opinion, was a better race than Imola. And people are going to hate me for saying that. Bahrain still definitely keeps the top spot. But this race, and for me personally, when you look strategic-wise, motorsport chess, I want to put it that, it was like motorsport chess. This race was absolutely phenomenal. And talking about Bottas, Hamilton and Verstappen, Booster disagrees with me, but I feel of those 2 drivers, Hamilton was the one to beat this weekend. And you guys are going to hear from Booster, he's on the Bottas side of the train. I'm actually surprised he's not on the Verstappen side of the train. But we both know the Mercedes was the car to beat this weekend. Mercedes focused on what they needed to focus on during practice, and those were the harder tires. But Hamilton, those 2 moves on Verstappen and Bottas after the safety car restart, moves of the weekend. Absolutely, Hamilton drove spectacularly, and you guys know I don't like Lewis Hamilton, but bloody hell he drove spectacularly.
Yeah, Hamilton drove. For me, he drove like if he's confident, he had the confidence he normally had last year in a car. I just think it was better for me this year because Red Bull is so close to us, and now that fight is there. Just not overtaking. Like, for me, it was just Bottas from the past 2 races. He stepped up for me the most. Qualified
on
pole position, and those 2 crazy angry drivers, Verstappen and Hamilton, he kept both of them on for like 30 laps.
That's true. Bottas kept those 2 behind. I mean, Hamilton, 7-time world champion, and we all know Verstappen is eventually going to win a world championship. But Bottas kept them behind. And I know at a certain stage when when Hamilton and Verstappen were battling, Bottas was starting to build a gap. But that is why Hamilton tried to get past Verstappen so quickly again.
Yeah, when Verstappen paused
Hamilton.
I forgot what it was, but yeah.
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Yeah, Bottas. I think he drove. For me, he drove like he needs to drive. He needs to show Mercedes he's there, because otherwise, the chances of him, if they are going to feel Bottas or the risk for them for not winning a constructors championship, you can lose your seat.
No, that's a very good point you make. If Bottas doesn't step up to the table, Mercedes will sack him. Please get Russell. Not the point.
They won't get Russell.
Yeah, but guys, that's not what I want. Look, I've always had a soft spot for Valtteri, and I feel a lot of people are just way too hard on Valtteri. And I mean, even with his Imola performance, I was very hard on him. But I like Valtteri. And I mean, before his Mercedes days, when he was driving alongside Felipe Massa on the Williams, back in 2016 and 2015, when the Williams was on pace with the Mercedes at some race weekends, Bottas outperformed Felipe Massa totally. And I can remember I told my dad those many years ago, this guy can really win a world championship one day. He can be the next Kimi Räikkönen. And I still believe that. I just think, like WTF1 always say, Matt Gallagher always says, I think if you have a teammate like Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen to perform against basically the 2 best drivers currently on the grid, that is a very big question. That's a tall task to achieve. And in my personal opinion, yes, Bottas only got pole by 7/1000ths of a second, but pole is pole, whether you win by a meter, whether you win by a mile, and he kept them behind for almost 30 laps. That's fantastic driving from Bottas, I will give him that. I just feel the way Hamilton drove this weekend, he drove like the Hamilton when he won his first World Championship back in 2007. I'm honestly gonna be, I think those two drivers were literally inseparable this weekend. I think they were probably equal.
Yeah,
I just think because Hamilton made those exceptional moves, it has a little bit more of a standout towards Bottas. But I get what you mean, where you believe Bottas was the better driver between the two this weekend.
For me, for Verstappen, he drove like he wanted. I would say if they set up the race pace medium tires better, or hard tires.
Yeah, the hard tires.
The hard tires, because when Hamilton and Verstappen were on the medium tires, Verstappen was there. But as soon as they went to hard tire, Verstappen just lost so much pace. He always felt like last year he was in the top 3, but he couldn't do anything. That was what it felt like for me.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything about it. And I mean, even though Verstappen actually finished ahead of Bottas, I literally think Verstappen couldn't have done anything more. I think literally he did everything he possibly could to keep that Red Bull ahead of the Mercedes. And I mean, even Bottas was closing him down very quickly in those final 10 laps. But I just hope, going this weekend towards Spain, I hope Bottas absolutely, and just to prove a point, I hope he drives the crap out of Hamilton and Verstappen. I really hope he does.
I would say for Bottas, he needs to do it almost like every weekend. He needs to get into that championship fight, and he needs to get ahead of Hamilton. So he forces the team to prioritize him more, because the team is not backing him as much as he needs to.
Yeah, they're not backing him as much as they should. And look, the season is still young, and I really hope Bottas can get into that championship battle. Ooh, sorry, excuse me. I nearly had a little bit of a burp. I really think he still can, but that means to start off, he has to win this weekend in Spain. Bottas has to win. And he needs to win dominantly. I mean, take pole position, beat Hamilton by 2-3 tenths and Verstappen, win the race with fastest lap, just to assert some dominance that Hamilton and Verstappen actually, okay, he's arrived. We've got a problem.
Yeah, just for Hamilton and Verstappen to realize Bottas is no pushover, but if he doesn't bring what's necessary, they are going to see him as just another person.
Yeah, it's just a second driver. And like we talked earlier in the video, guys, Mercedes need to start supporting Bottas. And the thing is, the only way, like Turbo says, the only way they're going to do that is when Bottas starts becoming a championship rival and he starts beating Hamilton consistently.
Then he needs to give Mercedes no other choice.
Yeah.
Mercedes, he needs to give them no other choice, because if Bottas gives the option for Mercedes, I guarantee you, I don't want to sound mean and say Mercedes are making the choices, but if they have to choose, they will choose Hamilton.
Always.
They will choose Hamilton. I mean, it's proven.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, no.
proven.
So, yeah, Bottas just needs to give them no other choice. And I hope this weekend in Spain, Bottas annihilates at least Hamilton. Even if Verstappen wins the race, he needs to beat Hamilton convincingly.
And I think before we start talking about Spain's race, are we gonna rate last weekend's drivers?
Oh yes, absolutely, Boosted. And since you have talked about the driver ratings for the Portuguese Grand Prix, you can start off with the two harsh drivers.
For two harsh drivers, Mazepin, we gave 2 out of 10. He was in nowhere's land.
And he got a 5-second penalty.
A 5-second penalty, being a minute behind.
And basically we're talking about just, he had a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags, and he was a minute behind his teammate. Not behind the winner, behind his teammate 2 positions ahead of him. So guys, Mazepin 2 out of 10. But here comes the juicy part on the other side of the Haas garage.
Yeah, Schumacher got 9 out of 10. He overtook a Williams. We all know the Haas is the slowest car so even though it's just 1 position up from where he is, it is that 1 extra position, and every inch of position you can get over anyone with a slower car is a massive boost for yourself and
for the team as well.
And for the team, but sadly, Haas don't want to make the car faster.
Well, for good reasons. I mean, they know the car is an absolute donkey. They want to focus on 2022. And Haas have made it clear they want to be at least a midfield car next year with the technical regulation change. And if you look at where the car is this year, even though I don't agree with it completely, I think it's a smart choice for next year.
Yeah, I understand it's a smart move. And I just wish that this year's car was a little bit faster for Schumacher and Mazepin, just so we can see what their talents are, because for now we're just seeing them going around the track.
So guys, Mazepin 2 out of 10, Schumi 9 out of 10. Now guys, heading in towards Williams. Now guys, once again, we just talked about the Schumacher-Latifi battle. And guys, Latifi, yes, he didn't qualify where he should have. He fell out in Q1 and Russell made P11. But guys, Latifi had a lot more screen time during the race than usual, which I loved. And Latifi drove bloody well this weekend. He defended for all his worth ahead of Schumacher. And I mean, Schumacher didn't catch him 1 lap and pass him the next. It was like an 8-9 lap battle where Latifi defended phenomenally. And me and Boosted feel Latifi deserves an 8 out of 10. Great weekend from Latifi when it comes to Sunday especially.
Yeah, also he's Latifi needs a little bit work on that craziness Russell has. Russell already got 6 out of 10.
Yes.
But he needs that qualifying a little bit more, that qualifying pace Russell had. For me, I think he's starting to get there because after the 3 races we had, you can see this year he is motivated way more than he was last year.
Oh yeah, and every weekend he's close to Russell. It's not like last year when Russell is just running away from Latifi. He is at least within 10 seconds of Russell in the race, and that to me is good. So guys, Latifi, I feel this weekend when it comes to Sunday, he was better than Russell. Russell started P11 and ended P16. Yeah, behind Yuki Tsunoda. Guys, the Williams had no race pace, and I also think that's why Schumacher was able to catch Latifi and pass him. But Latifi, his driving etiquette this weekend was just over the moon, and we really feel he deserves an 8 out of 10. Russell, 6 out of 10. Now, Boosted, please head in towards the 2 Alfa Romeos.
Alfa Romeos, Giovinazzi, he drove good. He defended where he needed to, and he got everything he could out of the car. He gave him 8 out of 10, and right now it was a rookie mistake. And yeah, I know no one's perfect, and Raikkonen is one of the closest you can get to perfect, but of his experience, we gave him 3 out of 10 because that mistake. It was just he was, as I remember in the interview, he wants to make sure the setting he sets around the corner, which is crazy. He wanted to make sure that setting was set, so he looked down at the steering and drove into his own teammates.
Yeah, but like we said, a rookie mistake. You are on the straight on the end of the first lap. Everybody is within each other's slipstream, and you decide to look down to make sure you've got the right setting on your steering wheel. And I understand you do that usually in the straights because that is when you have to focus the least amount. But yeah, I mean, like you just said, Kimi started to do the setting halfway through the final corner, which they take at like 260 kilometers an hour, and he did just make sure on the straight when he was right behind Giovinazzi. So yeah, Raikkonen, rookie mistake, unfortunately. So yeah, Giovinazzi 8 out of 10, Raikkonen 3 out of 10. Now moving in towards the two. Hi guys, once again it's me, but actually it's not hi guys, it's bye guys. Also not completely, not the point. Guys, that has been the end of part 1 of the Portuguese Grand Prix Motorsport Lounge podcast. Part 2, if you are by this stage you are here at the end of the podcast, the part 2 will already be up, so just go check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe if you are new, don't forget to ding the bell, and go check out the links in the description down below. I love you guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys in part number 2. Lego!